All right, everyone. We start off today with a rather disturbing story, actually. Down in Florida, there was a FEMA official circulating, sort of the guidelines to other employees when they're canvassing some of the disaster zones down there. I think it was in Placid, Florida, if I remember correctly, directing them to ignore properties that displayed any sort of Trump paraphernalia. That is, that if you are by the wreck of what used to be your home and you have a Trump sign out front or a Trump flag or something, literally these people passed you over. This is declared to be an isolated incident by FEMA. But when you're talking about bureaucracy, imagine you've got two candidates. One candidate wants to slash your bureau or more rigorously scrutinize it. And the other candidate doesn't want to do that, wants to give you more money, more government taxpayer-funded freebies. You have a bias in such a situation. We've seen this before. This isn't the first time that FEMA has fucked up. This is a scandal on par with the carpetbagging of FEMA back during Katrina. You remember that, and the Bush administration took a huge amount of flack, deservedly, by the way, for that at the time. Director of FEMA had no prior experience in anything related to natural disasters. Was just a Bush crony, and rightfully so. People pointed that out. And they jeered at the concept, and they said, well, what the fuck, now you've got tens of thousands of people that are wandering around itinerant at this moment because, the levees broke. Now you've got this, and I guarantee it's not just an isolated incident. This particular literature that was put out probably is isolated. But if you don't think that other FEMA employees or employees in other parts of the government don't engage in similar behavior, we've already seen examples of this. We've had Lois Lerner's IRS. We've got the blatant and naked corruption at the DOJ, the entire FISA system. We know there's corruption in the FBI related to, sociopolitics. Happens all the time. It's unavoidable when you have one political group or movement, one ideology that wants to endlessly fund you. You're going to prefer it over the one that wants to scrutinize you more. This is a major scandal. Now, this particular employee, presumptively not lowest level employee, by the way, has been sacked. They're not going to name who she is. Of course, it would be a she. They're not naming names, which means that this individual, despite quite clearly breaking the law, probably will never be brought to justice, or at least not until Trump takes office. Hopefully this issue is put on the front burner. That's one of the immediate things he can do. Hey, who was that employee that screwed the people of Florida? They're still trying to assess how many homes were passed over for disaster relief or any form of aid. They're still looking into it. DeSantis has launched an investigation. And he's like, this shit ain't gonna fly. By the way, Florida, probably the last state that you want to do this in, because DeSantis actually, one of the main positive things about him, he's definitely activistic when it comes to going after federal corruption. I'd be surprised if he didn't stay in politics for a long time, by the way. Big mistake. Whoops. You should have done it in North Carolina. Maybe the government there would be a little bit more merciful in regards to their investigation, their procedures. This is a fairly major scandal, actually. The fact that multiple American families, some of these people have fucking kids and shit, lost everything, and then they were passed over for aid simply because of their political affiliations. Does this not speak to the wider problem that Trump addressed literally the other day? One of his first major addresses since ascending to the presidential office. He's now President-elect Donald Trump. One of his first things was about free expression, things like that, going after online censorship mainly, and censorship by the government. Is this not similar to what we've seen, though, with the bias of these agencies with regards to press coverage, the differential usage of algorithms online, expression in general, differential prosecution? For example, I've said for a long time now, show me the man, I'll show you the crime. The person who, like Eric Adams, for example. Eric Adams was a legacy media darling. Well, he's a liberal, he's a Democrat, so he was protected by the current administration. The second that he spoke out against the administration, all of a sudden, his campaign manager and then him get raided. All of a sudden, it was very, very quick. It was literally within a couple of weeks. Totally coincidental. Happens all the time. Differential enforcement and differential help for people that need help. That's not the role of government to do that. It's not a proper usage of federal resources. Shouldn't matter whether the person supports Trump, Kamala, whoever the hell they happen to support. Like if I'm doing like disaster relief and I found out that an employee engaged in this behavior, I don't necessarily have to agree with the socio-political views of the people that are being denied aid. That's not my choice, number one. It's not my job description, number two. And number three, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, your home still got fucked by a hurricane. That's basically the point of FEMA, helping people in need. Now, do they do that? Not really. Not for the most part. Maybe on the macro scale, you know, infrastructural projects and stuff like that. Well, we got to shore up this bridge. Okay. As far as individual needs go, the government tends to be very, very haphazard in that regard. If anything, disaster relief should mainly be the federal government allocating funds to the states and letting them handle it. They do a better job. When it's more local, it would be more reasonable. It would be more efficient. I mean, unless you're in New England, of course. We have plenty of jokes about road crews in this state, just saying. But it would be more efficient in general. FEMA as an organization in general has done a poor job for a number of years. Again, we've got Katrina, we've got we've got a million examples of FEMA fucking up. It's probably time to slash the agency, compound it, make it more streamlined and efficient, and turn it more into an apparatus to give states resources and let them deal with it. Like if I'm in Florida, who would I rather show up at my door? You know, well, you know, what's left of my door. It's been battered against several trees, so I can find the doorknob, though, at least. So technically, I still have a home, I suppose. It's just a pile of rubble. Which would I rather have? FEMA truck shows up and they give me some fucking bottled water, or people from the state show up, assess the damage, assess what the fuck I can do, and hopefully things go from there. I'm going to take the state officials, not the FEMA officials. I'm a frequent critic of the state of Vermont, but I'd much rather have Vermont state officials showing up to assess the damage than FEMA officials. Because at least they're more accountable. You know, they're actually from within the state. Relatively small state, so, you know, it's sort of like a we know where you live sort of thing. There's accountability, in other words. You don't get that with FEMA. A bunch of fucking bureaucrats. Half of the people coordinating the response, they probably haven't even physically been to Florida. Except to go to Disney World or something like that. To Disneyland, Disney World. Can't remember which one's in Florida. I don't give a shit. I fucking hate Disney. But, no, FEMA official literally instructing the workers to pass over a property simply because it has a Trump yard sign. By the way, asshole, this is a hurricane zone. Is it not possible that some of the houses canvassed had a Trump sign in the front lawn that was literally blown there by high winds, and those people are actually Kamala supporters? Whoops. Yeah, you just deprived some Democrats of critical aid as well. So a major, major mistake on behalf of this individual. Major, major black eye for FEMA. Again, a bureau that arguably shouldn't even goddamn exist. It's just not necessary. Dispense the funds directly to the states and municipalities that are impacted by some sort of horrible, horrible disaster and let them handle it. If they do a poor job, at the very least the voters of the state can punish them. But nobody's voting for who's running FEMA. Nobody's voting for these particular employees. And there's, unless you're going to go straight to D.C. and bicker with the head of FEMA or with some of their higher-ups, those employees, they don't even come from that locale half the time. So it makes absolutely no sense. And it is a major scandal. People are demanding that I talk about this one. I don't know why. It's a mystery to me. That's about all. Peace out.